Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. So, I hope you are all well. Okay, good. I know that we actually explored the second Noble Truth last month, but I said last month, I said it would be nice to actually look at the dependent origination. That means the cause of suffering in details, or understanding a little bit more. So that's why today I'm going to talk about the dependent origination. Most of you should be familiar with it, but I think it's still good to actually go through it. Maybe you will have a little bit more deeper understanding this time. Before I start, I actually read some very nice verses about craving. Lately, just reminded me of the beautiful words of the Buddha in Dhammapada. Dhammapada 338, it says, just as a tree cut down grows up again, while yet its roots remain unharmed and sound, so with a tendency to crave intact, this suffering is ever reproduced. So, with thirst, that means the roots, if those roots are not being removed, suffering is bound to come. Okay, so and there was a very beautiful analogy, beautiful metaphor. It says, just like a lion directs his strength against the man who actually shot the arrow at him, not against the arrow. So, do we know that? Are we aware that when we are trying to eradicate sufferings, are we actually really eradicating sufferings? So it says here, the lion would direct his force to those who actually admit the iPhone and check who that is. If somebody keeps coming back.
He asks them to name themselves.
Yeah, but sometimes they don't. Just check them and see if they do funny things. Then just take them out of the chat room again. So when the lion is being shot by an arrow, it will go to try to attack the attacker, right? It won't try to attack the arrow. Yeah. So we want to be like a lion when we attack the cause of sufferings. Don't just look at the sufferings, but we just need to look at the cause of sufferings, because it is the cause that brings on sufferings. It's not the suffering itself. It's the cause of suffering. So, but a lot of times we are not like the lion. We are like the dog. A dog would just attack the person who has that glove. So you can see the dog trainer. They put a glove on, and they irritate the dog, and the dog keeps what? Biting, attacking the hand which has the glove. So the dog is not as smart as the lion. Sorry. So we really need to actually understand that. So if the dog start to attack the person who strikes him or her, so that would be a smart dog. Then, in a way, that he may be able to escape that striker. So if we need to escape sufferings, we need to deal with it at the roots. We need to deal with it at the causes. Okay, so when does suffering cease? Suffering ceases when its causes cease. If the causes doesn't cease, suffering won't cease. So that's why the Buddha said, suffering ceases only through the cessation of its origin. And when teaching about the cessation of suffering, the Buddha said, suffering only ceases when the origin ceases. So this is like the perfect teaching of what the lion does when somebody strikes him. Okay, so but a lot of us or a lot of people are like the dogs, not like the lions. Okay, so we need to be very diligently and also constantly remind ourselves we need to be like the lion. Okay, so the second noble truth. Haven't used the computer for some time, so let's see. Okay, there you go. Dependent origination. There are 12 links in dependent origination. And I remember some of you, I already asked you to memorize the 12 links, and hopefully you'll be able to actually memorize them and recite them. But I don't need to test you today. But I'm sure that you know the first link, right? So what is the first link? Ignorance. Yeah. If you don't know it, then that is really ignorance. Okay? So the first link is ignorance. So why is the 12th link so important? Why is the 12th link so important? Why would it start with ignorance? Okay, so don't look at the arrow yet. Okay, look at the one at almost 1 o'clock or 12, between 12 and 1. That is the first link, is ignorance. You can turn your body so that you don't have to turn your head like that. You can just, tonight is the setting is not really good for sitting, listening to lectures like that. So ignorance. So ignorance is the opposite of knowledge. Ignorance in Pali term is called moha, M-O-H-A, moha. And the Buddha said the mind is like the sun or the moon. The knowledge that the mind has is like the sunlight or the moonlight. So when there is ignorance, that means there is no moonlight, there is no sunlight. Or it's like an eclipse. When there is a moon eclipse, you don't have sunlight. If there is you don't have moonlight. When there is a sun eclipse, you don't have sunlight. Right? So that is ignorance. So there is no lights at all. So remember last time we talked about thirst. How many types of thirst do we have? Tanha.
Yeah,
Remember?
the physical first.
Thirst for sensuality, right? Thirst for identity. And thirst for form, and thirst for formless. Remember? Okay. You don't. So remember it this time. So, similarly, there are 4 types of ignorance. So, ignorance that blinds one to the truth of suffering, ignorance that blinds one to the cause of suffering, and ignorance that blinds one to the truth of cessation, and ignorance that blinds one to the truth of the path. In other sense, what is ignorance? In one sentence, summarize what I have said just now, please. Ignorance to?
Four Noble Truths.
Great. Well done. 4 Noble Truths. Ignorance to the 4 Noble Truths, right? So the whole chain of dependent origination is actually helps one to finally break down and finally conquer ignorance. But when we are born, we are already born with ignorance. So what we are trying to learn now, what we are trying to gather the knowledge now, is developing a right view of looking at things, looking at our life, looking at existence, looking at everything in this circle, looking at it correctly with the right views. And hopefully with that right views, you develop that kind of knowledge, that kind of experience that helps you to be able to remove those ignorance little by little. Okay, then the second link is the mental formations, and in Pali term is sankhara. And why is there an arrow there? It's actually what we talked about last time. You see, the third link is consciousness, right? What we talked about the last time when somebody asked questions about MAID, M-A-I-D, remember? I talk about consciousness. And here is about the relinking consciousness. Okay. So stop me if you so find it you can understand. Just stop me and then see if I can explain it further. Okay. So this relinking consciousness, what is this? So it actually links the past life with this life. The past life, we already had a lot of ignorance. And then, because of ignorance that arises mental formations, the sankhara, how would you put that into terms that can easily understand? A dog has quite a bit of ignorance. Okay? Say, for example, Goldie. Goldie, I always tell her a sermon. You live in the nunnery. You're supposed to be a practitioner practicing wholesome actions. You're not supposed to kill. You're not supposed to chase cats. You're not supposed to play with those moles and throw them around. You know, kept telling her all this. Would she understand? She doesn't know what you're talking about. She just looked at you. Yeah, everybody was saying, look at her. She understands. She's looking at you, Sifu. No, she doesn't understand. If she understands, she will stop. But she doesn't stop. That means she's ignorance of this act we call killing or hurting or harming. Why? Because of ignorance. She has this kind of habitual behavior, right? So a dog has habitual behavior to chase cats, especially with husky, right? So that is her habitual behavior, those old habits that have been hidden deep down in the storage of the mind. So no matter how many sermons we give her, no matter how many times we point a finger at her, you should stop that, Cody. Even though she knew, or well, I don't know whether she knows or not, but every time she eats something like a mole or a dead rat or whatever, she will have 2 days of stomachache. And Tansifu has to give her Chinese medicine, and she has to throw it up or poop it out. Would she remember that she has eaten such and such thing, and she ended up with such and such stomachache? She wouldn't. Why? Ignorance. Old habits. But we human beings are different. We know we can change us, whether we are willing to change, whether we are able to change. Sometimes we are willing, but we are not able. Why? Because we are not strong enough. We are not mindful enough. We are not willing to. I'd rather be like this than that. It's too much work. During this past meditation retreat I had, one day I asked myself, why you keep doing this? You have been a nun for 32 years. That's long enough. And you come to meditation like this, and you know, the body is so tense, and the body was so tense, and there's so much coming out, and sometimes it was just so difficult, and blah 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 blah. And, it's all crazy thoughts. It's just ignorance. And I kept asking myself, why you keep doing this? What do you want to get? What do you want to be? And of course, I don't have any answers. I don't have a very good answer. I just say, yeah, you vow to do this, and you know that the Buddha's teachings are so precious, and you know that you have come out of a lot of sufferings, but still there are a lot of sufferings to come out. So you better keep doing it. All these beautiful stories that I kept telling myself, convincing myself. So at some point there was very strong ignorance there. That's why I asked my question. I asked myself a question: why do you keep doing this? This is really not an easy life, Really, isn't it? I mean, you look at us, that you think this is an easy life? No, everybody shook your head. It's really not an easy way to live our life, but keep doing it. It needs a lot of strength and perseverance and patience. So this ignorance is really pushing that sankhara, that mental formation. And because of that mental formation being pushed by this ignorance all the time, so it links to this next consciousness. So it's pushed us into this kind of new consciousness. So that's why it's called relinking consciousness. It links up the past life with this life. That's why it's called relinking consciousness. I forgot the Pali term. I think it's Patishampi, Samti or Sampi, can't remember. But anyway, it doesn't really matter about the Pali term. But it's called relinking consciousness. Okay, so what happens with this relinking consciousness? It starts this lifetime. Okay? So this consciousness, that means at that time shouldn't be pointing mental formations anymore. So it means that there is this rebirth that's coming. The rebirth happens when this mental formation kicks into consciousness. So where does it get the strength from? Get the strength from all the past karma. wholesome, unwholesome. Okay? So, when we talk about these mental formations, we need to also understand the five aggregates within this mind. Of course, this mental formations is from the past life, but when it kicks into consciousness, then it starts the whole cycle of life. And the whole cycle of life starts with material and mental. So that is the five aggregates. The material one is the form, and the mental parts is the feeling, perceptions, mental formations, and consciousness. So you can see that mental formations is actually very powerful. And so is the consciousness. Okay? So when we come into this lifetime, this consciousness, here means rebirth consciousness, the consciousness that links the past, the previous life with this present life. So the karmic force of the past volition effort will result in an initial consciousness of this present life, right? So how would this present existence arise from previous karma? A lot of people are very interested to find out. Why would I end up like this? I want to see why would she end up like this? Or what happens in the past life? That's why people go crazy, go to psychic and reading go to what card, playing those tarot card, and trying to find, what's my previous life, or when relationship goes sour, and they say maybe if we go into the past life, we will be able to mend the relationship. Yeah, sometimes you will be able to. But in order to be able to go into the previous existence, one needs a very super power. We call it supernatural power. That means one knows the past life of themselves and of others. I've seen people with that power, and it seems to them those are very trivial things. They just sit there and they say, your past life is like this and like this and like this. And it's very true. And you think, wow, they are powerful. Yeah, they could be powerful, but it could be tricky, it could be dangerous too. People could use that power to be famous, to make money, to make profit. And that is not correct. And some people are born with that. Some people can cultivate that power when you actually develop in meditation. Really deep samadhi, jhana, and then deep insight. You will be able to develop that power. But this power, this supernatural power, is really the result of genuine attainments, and really that genuine attainments has to come from correct kind of practice. Okay, not just through other practices. Lady Sayadaw, who was a very, very powerful practitioner, he said, right view at this elementary level, that means at this level right now, is bound up with a lot of personality view, like us. We think that we have a lot of right view. But inside there is a lot of personality view, or I should say personal view also. Say for example, let us go back to maid. Some people think, okay, well, I choose this, or he choose this, because he just want to get out of the sufferings. And getting out of the sufferings, there must have a personality view in there, or a personal view in there, because I don't want to suffer, or I'm losing my dignity, I don't have any self-esteem, or whatever. So they said, okay, now that this medical system provides this kind of treatment, that therapy, I can choose this. Or whatever treatment, it doesn't necessarily to be made. So there is a lot of personality view in there that actually could become hindrances to develop deeper insight. Okay? So that's why Lady Sayadaw said, you really need to work diligently to actually develop right view through your own experience. That's what the Buddha said, right? Your own experience. So this existing material aggregate is, that is the mental aggregate. The mental and the material aggregate combine together. They come together to make us a human being. But when the material aggregate breaks up, like the sense stores, the four elements, and all that, the four elements is the physical existence, right? The earth, the fire, the wind, the water, and also some people say the five elements, the space. When this material aggregate breaks up, would the mental aggregate break up? You should be able to answer this question. Would the mental aggregate break up? Anybody?
Well, based on the links, no, because it's mental relations carry on.
Exactly. Material aggregate breaks up, that means we die, okay? But the mental doesn't break up. If the mental breaks up, that means there is no more rebirth, right? So why would the Buddha said, past life, this life, next life? What goes on to rebirth is the consciousness, right? It's the mental aggregate. Okay, so this material aggregate breaks up. The mental aggregates take rebirth, but with a completely fresh material aggregate, right? Completely fresh, different form. It could be a cat. Goldie could be a cat next life, or Goldie could be an ego next life. Who knows? It's a totally different new material combination, material aggregate combination. Totally new. Okay, so do you think that when this material aggregate breaks up and then this mental aggregate takes rebirth, we'll be very close to our old body, to where we were? Not necessarily. So don't expect you will be reborn in Canada again, because this life you live in Canada. So if you read some wonderful, really near-death experiences or near-death experiences, or some books about past life regression, you will see a lot of people actually, when they regress into their past life, they speak different languages. They were wearing different clothes, or in their regression they will speak different language. They see a totally different world than the one that they are living in. So you can see from some little children, like they speak different dialects or languages, when they've never been exposed to those. Why? Because of the mental aggregate from the past life influencing this lifetime. Okay, so that is really the powerful consciousness. So when this rebirth consciousness is very strong and wholesome, then the rebirth will take place in the higher realms. If this is on the other end of the spectrum, then it will take place in the lower realms. So simple. Okay? So you can see from here, mental phenomena are really way much powerful than the material phenomenon. So when we look at then after this consciousness, then we look at this psychophysical phenomena we call nama rupa. Nama is the mental aggregates of feeling, perception, and mental formations. And then the mental aggregate of consciousness is really, really, as we read from Dhammapada, it is the chief, it is the leader, right? Nobody has the power more than this mental aggregate. So this mental aggregate really actually directs our life, directs how we live our life, and also directs our, also really will somehow determine our next life. So this mental aggregate, with nama rupa, the nama, the body and the mind, they arise whenever consciousness arises. Feeling, perception, contact, volition will arise simultaneously. And then this body, as I said just now, it has 4 elements, or you can call 5 elements. But in the case, when we talk about this material aggregate, when we think about the mother being pregnant, in the first month of pregnancy, you know, it's hardly visible to human eyes. So that's why they have to use like ultrasound. They have to use all those very advanced machines to test whether she is pregnant or not, right? Because the initial arising of material aggregate or phenomena is very invisible. It's just like a tiny seed. But it's like a tiny seed of a banyan tree. But when it grows and grows and grows, the banyan tree will flourish and bring on many, many banyan trees in the future. And so from the moment of conception, an embryo actually start to develop through different stages into a living being. That is the material aggregate. And then when this material aggregate matures enough, that brings on a body, a living being being born, that comes the 6 senses, the sense doors. So we all know the sense doors are the eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, and mind. So these are the 6 sense doors. The first 5 are included in the material aggregate. Remember, the eye, ear, nose, tongue, body. That is the material aggregate. Only the mind, the 6th one, is the mental aggregate. That is only, that means the consciousness, the mental part. So these 6 sense doors are really, in us, are really the main door to a huge building, a mansion, or the gate to a city, right? If we close it, nothing comes in, nothing goes out. If we keep it open and don't guard it, everybody can come in, everybody can go out, right? So we need to actually, that's why through meditation we are training these sense doors not to be so active, or even active, but we could be mindful of how active they are and where are they going. So these 6 sense doors, some people actually give it give an analogy of like 6 trains staying in the station, all ready to go. Once the green light come on to that train goes. But we'll never have 2 trains go at the same time. Only one at a time. Okay? And so they are always on standby. But where are they going? They could be going into different directions. One go north, one go south, one go east, one go up and down. Different directions. That's why we could be so crazy. If we do not gather these 6 sense doors and try to train them and settle them, we could be really crazy. Okay? So, and because of these craziness, we could either end up down here, down there, or if we are able to gather them and train them and be aware of them, we could actually constantly correct ourselves and develop ourselves in morally and karmically, and so we will eventually maybe have a chance to rise to heavenly existence. So the Buddha said, so what, monks, is the arising of the world? He said, because of the I and the visible object, the I consciousness arises. So the meeting of these 3, I, visible object, and consciousness, is here. Contact, right? Faster. So the same with the other sense doors, okay? I'm just giving you an example of the eye or the ear. The ear, there's this ear consciousness, and then there's this sound, okay? And then there is this ear consciousness, ear and ear consciousness, and then the sound. Then these 3 together, then that is, they have a contact coming together. They hear, they smell, they taste, they feel, okay? They see. Okay, because of this contact, once we have that contact, that arises what? Feelings, Vedana, 6 o'clock, or between 6 and 7. So because of this feeling, this arises the whole mass of suffering. Why? Because the feeling could be pleasant, the feeling could be unpleasant. And when pleasant feelings, we say, oh, nice. Can I have more? Or unpleasant feelings, oh, not nice. Can you leave? A lot of times it's out of our own control. We cannot control when would pleasant feelings arise, when would unpleasant feelings pass. A lot of time we can't. We think we can. That is a wrong view. Okay? So that's why the Buddha said, because of contact, feeling arises. Vedana. And when there is feeling, that arises the whole mass of suffering. And Buddha said, monks, this is called the arising of the world of sufferings. You could say, okay? So we stop at feelings now. Let's see, okay? So stop at feelings. Yes. So this arising of as I said just now, the mental aggregate is just like one tiny seed. But the mental aggregate of mental formations produces by this karma, and only karma will produce that existence at one time. So as I said, so like 6 trains going, waiting to depart, but only one can depart the station. So, for example, when this I consciousness arises, then this eye contact arises. And when this eye contact arises, we will see, then it's just like we're grasping onto an object. That moment that we grasp, we have that feeling. When that feeling becomes pleasant or unpleasant, that causes craving or anger or ill will. So, if we do not deal with it, that attachment to hang on or the attachment to reject doesn't go away. But you think that the Buddha doesn't have pleasant feelings? You think the Buddha doesn't have unpleasant feelings? The Buddha has pleasant feelings. The Buddha has unpleasant feelings. But pleasant feelings do not evoke pleasure. Unpleasant feelings does not evoke suffering. Why? Because they see how it arises. They know they are impermanent. They know they are conditioned. They know they have all this right view. They know if they start to attach to this, then they will end up creating many causes of sufferings. And that will be a hindrances to enlightenment, a liberation from suffering, right? So when we talk about feelings, we have to remember unpleasant feelings is slightly better, because unpleasant feelings, who wants to embrace and hug unpleasant feelings? But you can and seeing an impermanence in unpleasant feelings is actually giving us so much hope. Oh, it will soon go because it's impermanent. The Buddha has to be right? And it will go away. It will disappear. Because that's what the Buddha said. I totally believe it. I have no doubt about this. But pleasant feelings, I tell you, is very tricky. Pleasant feeling is so tricky. It's just like a monkey wanting to get this wonderful, sweet, tasty mango being cut and put it there, and oh yeah, I'll go and get that mango. The monkey say, okay, got it. Oh, it sticks to one hand, because the hunter wanted to catch the monkey, right? Oh, it's got glue there, super glue, construction glue. Oh, no, I'm stuck here. No, I still want that mango, but I want to free this hand. Okay, this hand go. Oh, this hand got stuck. Oh, never mind, I still got 2 legs. One leg, try to kick the hands off. Oh, the leg got stuck. I still have 1 leg. Try to kick the leg and the other 2 hands off. Oh, got stuck. Totally got stuck. All trapped. All bound up. Why? Pleasant feelings. All stuck together. Because once it's pleasant feeling, once it's very difficult to remember it is anicca, impermanent, changing. It arises, it will disappear. Therefore, at that time, when the trains are starting to depart, which train will go first? The pleasant feeling there? Oh, green light, go. Forget it. Then the 5 lights stayed, the 5 other trains stayed there, and that train take rebirth. You see? That train takes rebirth. So it really depends on which contact you have. So, as I said just now, there are 10 wholesome traits. And there are 10 unwholesome trains. So the 10 unwholesome trains go for lower rebirth, and the 10 wholesome trains go for higher rebirth. So this from 6, that means feeling, craving, to 8, all the way to attachment, contact, feeling, and craving. These all actually create moral or immoral deeds, and these are all based on these 6 senses. Okay, then we go to look at number 9. Number 9 is attachment. Because of these feelings, and then there is this craving. I want it, or I don't want it. I don't want it is also a craving of not wanting it, right? Okay, if we don't start to understand our lives by understanding these 12 links, naturally one will continue to carry these wrong views and personal views or personality view. And in all existence, whether in higher realm or lower realm, these causal factors will arise over and over again, over and over again. Okay? And that means we keep running over and over again. So this contact, the feelings, and the cravings are these 3 really strong factors that manipulate and beautifying our body. You can use an analogy like that. And craving and the attachments are really the bold banners, as some teachers would say. They are the bold banners of these adornments on the body. And this craving and the attachment, as we said last time, thirst. Craving for what? Craving for self, craving for formless, or craving for essential pleasure, craving for wrong view. These are all futile practices. These are all not going to lead you to a higher rebirth. Okay? So when we start to go into craving and then becoming, attachment, and then we will start to become. Definitely, right? We'll start to become. If like a pencil get blunt, then you put it into a pencil sharpener, it will become sharp. Becoming. So whatever you are in that contact, feeling, craving, and then attachment, then you will become something else, become somebody else. You change. So this karma thing on the active side will determines our next existence. Okay, so what are the active side that determines our existence? Is the moral or the immoral part? Those are the active side, and then the inactive and in the next existence is the passive side. Okay, so the rebirth to the heaven or to higher or to lower is the passive side of existence. The active side is our moral or immoral behavior. So when we become, eventually we will start to go into the future effects. The future effects is everybody dies. Everybody dies. Nobody can escape death. But throughout our whole life, from we were young until we are teenagers and adults and old age, the whole life we are trying to prepare ourselves not to die, prepare ourselves not to die so soon. Right? We're spending all our energy of trying not to die, not to age, not to get old, not to be ill. Right? So why are you taking all those medications? because I don't want to be sick. I want to live on. That means you don't want to die, right? Or you don't want to suffer on the process of dying. So, so remember, this birth means that we are taking a new existence from this existence. This is a continued existence. So death is inevitable. Okay, so when this dies, we have a totally new sets of 5 aggregates. So right here, on birth and death. So birth is alive, death is totally perish, aging is decay, isn't it? So that is the future effects because of these present causes here. Okay? These present causes will bring on these future effects. Okay? So this am I still on psychophysical 6 senses? No, I'm way past there already. I forget about the arrows. Okay, so we way past already. Becoming. Sorry. So becoming, we finished becoming. So now we go to look at this cycle. We are looking the cycle. We are looking the dependent origination in the anti-clockwise direction. When there is ignorance, it conditioned to bring on mental formations. Because of mental formation, sankhara, it keep pushing by ignorance, then there will be a new consciousness. So it's an this is a clockwise. This is a clockwise direction, right? Clockwise. Go. And then it all the way to aging, birth, and death. So it's a clockwise direction. But how then the causes of suffering is this clockwise direction? And the third noble truth that we were supposed to be looking at today, we are looking at it right now here. This is the third noble truth. It's anti-clockwise. When there is no ignorance, there will be no mental formations, right? Right? You can look at it that way, or you can look at it from the feeling, for example, feeling. When we do not react to pleasant or unpleasant feelings, stop craving or rejecting, then we stop there. When we stop there, then we will have no craving, right? Because if we don't crave, then whatever pleasant, unpleasant feeling doesn't matter. When pleasant, unpleasant feeling doesn't matter, then it doesn't matter whether we contact or not. Even if we contact, it doesn't matter because we don't react. Right? So, in order to really eradicate sufferings, we need to go anti-clockwise. And it's really not easy to go anti-clockwise. Why? Because ignorance and mental formations are already the past 2 causes from past life. There's nothing we can do about it. We are born with it. We are born with a lot of old habits in the mind. We are born with a lot of ignorance. Yes, we can open up our mind and be less ignorant. Yes, that will take eons of life. But we can be patient. No problem. But those are the roots. Those are really deep roots. So our past deluded thoughts, actions actually create this present existence. But who create them? The ignorance and the mental formations. So what happens after death? Rebirth follows death. So how can we come out of it? We either come out of it at ignorance, we either break the cycle at ignorance, we don't have any ignorance at all, then this cycle won't start. It won't push the sankhara, it won't push the mental formations, right? But is it possible? No. It's not possible yet. It's possible with Buddha, but not us. Okay? It's possible, maybe a little bit, tiny droplets. Can we stop death? We can't. So we cannot stop there, right? So we cannot discontinue over there. Where can we discontinue? Where can we break out from this cycle? See that? Contact? Really? You lock yourself up in the cave? Up in the mountain? You hate yourself. You still have contact with your mind. Feelings. You agree to? What were you going to say? Yeah? Yeah?
Oh, I was just agreeing, I think.
Oh, you were just okay. Feeling versus that feeling. That's one way. That's the path, really. That's why some meditation teaches you to observe the feeling the way it is, observe how it changes, and try to correct our sankhara, our mental formations, this life mental formations. Right? You look doubtful, Laurie.
You know, I'm just having this circular conversation in my head about this whole thing that's I always end up doing. So I keep, thanks, Clock. I keep thinking about it, it's sort of too practical. It's like, well, we need to be careful what we come in contact with, and if we can.
Yeah, but you cannot avoid.
Exactly.
Totally, right?
I know, but
because it's out of your control.
Yeah.
Yeah, you try to stop the contact, and you close all the windows, you close all the doors. When people knock on your door, do you open the door? You say, no.
Sometimes.
No, I'm not going to open my door. I don't want to see anybody through my eyes. But you hear the knock.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Right? So I was sharing my experience just now with this long course. I was in a cell on the top floor, and then on day one, it constantly had this duck, 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 duck. And I said to myself, you are a seasoned meditator. You can handle this sound. And it keeps going, duck, 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 duck. And I thought, well, the morning went by, the afternoon went by. In the evening, it stopped. I said, wow, it stopped in the evening, so nice. So next morning, I went back into the cell, 12 hours a day, sitting in the cell, right? I mean, about 12 hours, about 11 hours. Then morning sit, 6 o'clock is still okay. 8 o'clock, duck, 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 duck. Oh, it would be nice if it is symphony, but it is not symphony. It's like something dropping, keeps constantly, continuously, constantly dripping. Or just like a fan needs oiling, it go. Oh, darn! I said, am I going to ask the teacher to give me another cell? I was struggling. Am I able to overcome this? I can't. I can shut my ears. My ears constantly go to the sound. And that constantly go to the sound disturbs the stability of the mind. And so the mind gets a little bit agitated, irritated, and then come back again, 5 minutes in a... So eventually I wrote a note. I said, can I have a cell on the bottom floor? And after that, there was no sound. But people opened up my cell doors, scare me off like crazy, because they were looking for bigger cells, because it was such a small course. And I think they were very mature students, like 30 days course, right? How can you go and open up each cell and check the cell? My cell door was open twice. It scared the hell out of me. Because you never expect your cell door will be open in a long course like this. And, oh, sorry. And even talking, right? It was so funny. But anyway, so we cannot stop contact. Sorry. Obviously. There was no contact for me in my little cell, but there was this sound. So this contact, because audible sound, and my ear and the ear consciousness. So there is contact, right? So you cannot stop unless, even though one is blind or deaf, they still have contact. So if we really would like to find a way out, I think we have to start at the feeling part. I think the feeling part is the most realistic part. Okay, and I think it's the easiest, a little bit easier part.
There's nothing easy.
Yeah, of course, it's nothing easy. Yeah, but at least it's doable, right? So remember the 8 factors from in this light gray consciousness all the way to aging. Is these 8 factors? They belong to the present, and this is what we call the world. This is we call the life. So this cycle is without beginning, and remember the Buddha said, life is beginningless. Right? And this in this beginningless cycle, we consider this present existence is just the manifestation of our past existence coming into play in this lifetime. So as soon as this life, present life ceases, a fresh rebirth will take place, will begin. So then at that time we call that present existence. Right? Like we call yesterday, and today, and tomorrow. So tomorrow, it will be your today. Today, the present moment, right? So, therefore, looking at this, we know there is always a present existence as long as ignorance and sankhara, or mental formations, are there. There will always a new existence. So that's why this cycle is called eternal cycle of samsara, sufferings, eternal cycle. And why do we practice? Because we want to break away. Eventually we will be, because we have examples from the Buddha and many arahants, many teachers that show us it is possible, but it needs a lot of work. And so when we are able to extinguish this craving and attachment, hopefully we'll be able to come out of it a little bit easier. Okay? And this feeling part, of course, belongs to the mental aggregate. So that's why the mental aggregate, the 5 aggregates, the four mental aggregates are actually very important. And throughout your own meditation practices, you can actually start to discern, oh, this is the feeling aggregate. Oh, this is the perception aggregate. Let me see how my perception aggregate change. How long does it last? Then you start to see the aggregate in play, you know. And then you start to understand your own existence a little bit more. Otherwise, you become too mechanical. I see a lot of meditators are mechanical, and they're just really like a mechanical scanner, a mechanical respirator, because they do not start to contemplate on these aggregates. And once you start to contemplate on these aggregates, you start to understand how you are being tricked by your own mind so often and so much. And you say one day, that's it, that's enough. I have had enough of you. I'm not going to be tricked by you anymore. Then, at that time, you're totally liberated. Okay, so I know it's a lot in there, but it gives you a review, a refreshment,
Sifu, I remember way back when you taught this the very first time, and it was with this book. I remember being so confused.
Yeah.
And I feel like I thought it was doing better.
Doing better.
At least I remembered ignorance. But however, every time you do teach it, it does make more and more sense.
More and more sense.
Yeah.
We really need to keep the correct view of our life, looking at our life using this 12 links all the time, all the times. Then you develop this right view little by little, little by little. And hopefully then, you know, by the time we die, we won't be so attaching. Hopefully we don't attach when we live, you know, but at least when we die, we don't attach that much. Otherwise, it's going to be not a very pleasant rebirth. Mm-hmm. But you would know, you know, if we end up being a pig, we would know. We have had a pleasant life last life. This life is a pig. We would know. I mean, she would know what she was before. She would know. So just be happy whatever life that you have. Being a dog or being a pig or being a human being. So, but remember, ignorance has always been there, but with the right view, because we can cultivate right view, right? We can constantly change our way to look at things. And we can constantly enrich ourselves and reach the understanding of the Buddha's teachings ourselves over and over again. That's why studying and practicing is so important. They go together. And when yes, this is a really uphill task. It is not an easy task. You're pushing a boulder uphill, you know, but it's very worthwhile because in the end, we'll be able to actually eradicate the ignorance, and that is one really bright destiny that we look forward to. Okay, without this uphill fight, we won't be there. We can't get there. Yeah, Varsha.
Sifu, so my question might show a complete lack of understanding of what I just heard you say tonight, or it might be inappropriate. I'm not sure. I can maybe understand the present effects and how we can work on diminishing our feelings, our cravings, our attachments in this present life. Mm-hmm. I'm wondering about that storehouse that we're bringing with us. like, how can we hope to
The storehouse.
that, like, the mental formations
Yeah.
that we bring with us?
Yeah.
I can hardly even fathom coping with what's in front of me in the present life, and to think that there's something deep down in our sankhara that we're bringing with us. Like, how can we look at that?
You're looking at it through everyday's life, contact feeling.
So it's coming up.
Of course.
So if
Of
I
course.
deal with what's in front of me right now,
Exactly.
then I'm dealing
You're
with
dealing
what's
with-
I brought
yeah,
with me.
Yeah.
Okay, phew. I thought there was like another layer there that I had to like, when do we get that? Okay,
Oh, there are
thank
many layers there. You know,
Yeah.
it keeps each layer keeps coming up and peel off, and then another layer comes up and peel off. There are layers. You just have to be. I mean, come on, Buddha spent eons of life to become a Buddha. Busha, let
Yes.
us be hopeful.
Okay. Thank you, Sifu.
All right. So I repeat the cause of sufferings because I think this is actually very important to bear in mind, and just want to refresh our memories on this. We tend to forget about this all the time. So we need to constantly remember and try to contemplate it during our daily life and also during our meditation experience. How do we contemplate the 5 aggregates? Contemplate. Well, form aggregate, you can easily contemplate the body. The other aggregate, for example, let me use the breath. How do you contemplate the 5 aggregates through the breath? So when the breath air comes in, then comes out, goes in, comes out, it touches the skin here, right? That's the feeling part, right? That's the feeling aggregate. Okay, and then the feeling aggregate. And then the perception aggregate is, this breath air going in, I know it is an ingoing breath, and I know it is an outgoing breath, and I know it is a long breath, I know it is a short breath. That's the perception part, right? You understand, you cognize the breath. And when it comes to the mental formation, the sankhara part is, inside our mind, there is this thought that I need to continue breathing because life goes on with breath. If it stops, that's it. Flat. So there is this intention of taking an in-breath after the out-breath. So that is a habit, right? After the out-breath, you will naturally want to take an in-breath. So sometimes the breath sometimes when you are a little bit more quiet, it seems that the breath is so very quiet, fine, and you start to worry. Am I not breathing? You see, that's the sankhara, the fear of not breathing, the fear of death comes up. All right? And the consciousness is the ability to do all this. To feel, to perceive, and to intend to go on breathing, continuously breathing. So when you start to actually experience a breath, then you will be able to see if you can contemplate about the aggregates through the observation of the breath. Okay? It's not easy, but it can be done. You try the feeling part first, and then you try perceiving part first, then it will be way much easier. Then at least you start to see 3 aggregates. The breath itself is about the form, right? The body, the material aggregates, and then the feeling aggregate, and then the perception aggregate. Okay? Good. So let us share our merits. May we share our merits with all beings. May all beings be happy, be peaceful, and may more and more people will encounter the wise words of the Buddha, study them, understand them, practice them, and help themselves to be liberated from all the sufferings and be ultimately free and happy and peaceful.